Welcome to the SOB radio show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at SpunkyOldBroad1 or reach out to me on our website at spunkyoldbroad.com. And now, back to the show.
Hi, everyone. I have to tell you, I am so excited with my guest today because I've known her for a number of years, and she is one of the most fantastic women you would ever want to meet. And I'm talking about Susie Levan. She's an author, philanthropist, community leader, certified non-denominational pastoral counselor, hypnotherapist, teacher of meditation, life coach, spiritual warrior, and Reiki Master teacher. For the last 30 years, she's been teaching the importance of meditation and helping women live their best lives. She channeled 2 meditation CDs with Grammys nominee and New Age musician Stephen Halpern. She founded the Work-Life Balance Institute for Women and founded and published Balance Magazine from 1999 to 2009. And I have to say that I was a contributor way back then to the magazine.
I'm exhausted just listening to that list.
That magazine, it was for women, directed towards personal growth and self-development, and it was a fantastic publication. It was just beautifully designed and just a wealth of information. And for over 20 years, she's facilitated a bi-weekly women's wisdom circle to empower, inspire, and guide women to amplify their greatness to create a more meaningful life. She and her husband, Alan, are co-founders of the Susie and Alan Levan NSU Ambassadors Board, on which I serve, and I'm very proud of that. They were both honored to receive the Broward County Philanthropist of the Year Award and in 2018, given by the AFP of Broward County, the Association of Fundraising Professionals. Oh, boy, Susie, that is a lot, but it is everything that you are. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It sounds like our interview's over. With that long list, I'm exhausted.
Yes, I tell you, the amazing thing is, though, you've written this wonderful book, Getting to Forgiveness. And I know it took you a long time to get to the point where you could write it and would write it. And give us an idea of what it's about.
Well, Gayle, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be on your show. And we have been friends for a long time, and it's really a special treat to be on today. It's taken me about 30 years to put my story on paper. I have spoken about my story in many different venues, and I was fortunate enough that after my talk, people would come up to me and encourage me to write a book. So it just felt like now was the right time. I actually have been writing this book for about 2.5 years and had actually stopped writing it when my daughter got ill and her subsequent passing. But one of the things that she kept telling me was, Mom, you need to finish your book. So in her honor, I finished the book.
Wow. So she is the one that really inspired you to finish it.
Yes.
But what inspired you to start it? Was it the people coming up to you? Was it you felt that this was the way to get the message out? What really got you started in the beginning?
Well, it was just timing. I really was just so ready. And I think everything happens for a reason. Everything happens at the right time. And I was happy to speak my story until the time came where it had to be put on paper. And the Work-Life Balance Institute for Women and Balance Magazine were all kind of like subliminally messaging, if you will, whoever read the articles and came to our events and so forth, information that was about, higher power and empowerment and spiritual growth and personal growth and forgiveness and meditation and all the subjects and topics that I talk about in the book. So it just became the next step, if you will, because we closed the Work-Life Balance Institute and Balance Magazine in 2009, not because we wanted to, but it was because the recession was here, and we were a nonprofit, and lots of doors were closing around us. So we were not able to get advertising and funding, and so it was really my baby. It was something that I enjoyed doing. I loved doing it and making a difference in people's lives, which is really what I live for.
Well, tell us a little bit, if you will, about your near-death experience. Because I have to tell you, in all the years that I've known you, and you put on some wonderful, wonderful events. I remember going to them and just being amazed by the speakers you had and the content that was discussed. You never, ever gave any hint, at least to someone like me, that you had gone through this. So tell us a little bit about it so that we understand where this is all coming from.
Yes, it is all coming from a moment in time where tragedy, trauma, a dark place occurred. So Alan and I had been married 90 days. Up to that point, I had been chief operating officer of a public company for 16 years. And we had been married in September. And in December of 1988, my husband, who was a banker at the time, apparently there were some people that were casing different homes of bankers and ended up at ours. And they came into our home on December 21st, 1988, 3 gunmen, and told us that they were robbing the bank, threw a suitcase at us, and told us that was going to happen in the morning. They were in our home that evening and spent the night. So without really understanding what was happening or what would happen the next morning, they took Alan separately in my car, and then they ended up putting my 7-year-old and me in the trunk of the car. We had a 4-door sedan and just started driving. And we were their insurance, so that if they didn't get the money, I mean, this was a kidnapping, and now obviously a bank robbery to boot. And so, Gayle, I have to tell you that just the reality of the fear, the anxiety, the unknown person. I'm a control freak, so imagine when you're in a place that you have no control over, and I believe that we all have angels that surround us. So before we went into the trunk, and it was pitch black, it was about 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning in December, we were told we were going in the trunk, and I looked at my 7-year-old and I said, you know what? We're going to play hide and go seek, and you're going to be with mommy, so everything's going to be okay. And she believed it, and I was not hysterical. I was doing everything in my power to be calm and serene, and it took every inch of strength and energy inside me to do that. And so now we are in the trunk in fetal position, and I'm holding her tight, and I'm starting to sing her songs and tell her stories, and I'm thinking, they're going to leave us in the Everglades to die, and this will be our coffin. At some point in time, they start driving and driving and driving and driving. And of course, the night before, they had taken my jewelry and my wedding ring that I had just gotten 3 months earlier. We had just cashed a check because we were leaving town in a couple of days for a ski week vacation with the kids. And anyway, I had no idea on how much time had elapsed. At some point in time, they stopped, they locked the car, and we now are sitting there quietly, and they said to us, be quiet. So I heard them lock the car, and I'm saying to myself, and I'm literally thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? We're going to asphyxiate. Like, kids today, you leave them in the car for 20 minutes and they're dead. And we are not moving because at the moment that we were moving, we were in fact receiving a little bit of oxygen underneath the trunk. But now that we're parked, nothing was coming in. It was getting very hot. So I say to my daughter, how about we close our eyes? Mommy didn't sleep last night. Why don't we take a little nap? All the while I'm thinking, this way we take our last breath while we're sleeping. No air, we're done. And it will be painless. But and she says, okay, and she closes her eyes, and I could hear her sleeping, and I close my eyes and I start praying the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. And I immediately say, in finishing the prayer, please, God, please don't let Lauren die this way. She doesn't deserve to die this way. Take me. The minute I say that, I am literally now, my physical body's in the trunk, but I am now out of my physical body and traveling at 1,000,000 miles a minute towards this tunnel of light. Now, mind you, I'm a business person, left brain, everything in boxes, nothing. I'm very analytical, never considered this, never thought about this, never read about this, didn't even know what was going on. So I'm now whooshing through this tunnel of light, and there's colors and sounds, and I'm going at the speed of light, literally, very fast, and up to the point to where I stop. And as I stop, my eyes are still closed, but I could see everything. And I could hear everything. And all of a sudden, I'm surrounded by beings of light. These beings of light start telepathically talking to me and telling me that it's not my time to die and that I'm going to receive a life review. And so a big white screen appears. And up to that point, everything that I had done up to that moment in time, who I have hurt, who have hurt me, things that I've said, comments I've made, thoughts that I've had, now appear. And I get to watch it without judgment, but to see what impact I've had in other people's lives and vice versa. That ends, and they say to me, it's not your time. We're going to give you lots of different information that you're going to take back with you, one of which is to teach meditation to as many people as you can. Now, meditation, I had never meditated in my life. I didn't even know what that was. And I say, so I'm not dead. Where's my daughter? Again, this is all telepathic. All I'm doing is thinking the thought, and they're responding. And they say, look down. I look down, and we're there in the trunk of the car in fetal position as if nothing had occurred, and I'm still there with her. And I said, is she alive? Yes, both of you are alive. Everything is fine. And there's this humongous energy on my right side. And I feel it, and the love. It's kind of like being in a cocoon of being in your mother's womb. You just feel love, and you feel this energy of peace. And this very large energy says to me, I'm Archangel Michael, and I've been with you for many lifetimes, watching over you and protecting you. So it was a very powerful moment, and as soon as all of that occurred, I am now like cocoon, listen to me, the tunnel is now in reverse, where it was now going one way, I'm now going back towards my physical body. Now I am now swooshing back with as fast as I came in. And all of a sudden there's this humongous thump noise that happens as I guess, enter my physical body. My spirit, my soul is now entering my physical body. And my eyes pop open, and Lauren wakes up, and she says, Mommy, look up. And I am not kidding you. If being on the other side, surrounded by beings of light and angels and Archangel Michael wasn't enough, we now have an opening the size of a baseball in the trunk of the car. This is a Mercedes trunk. And this opening is now allowing oxygen to pour in. We could actually see the little dust particles flying in from this opening. I could see the sky. The wispy clouds are passing us by. I can see a telephone wire, and I'm thinking, well, we must not be in the Everglades. And this is a miracle that God has given us to let us survive. And I mentioned that to Lauren, and I say, Mommy was with God and the angels, and Alan will be here soon. And she goes, Mom, I thought we were playing hide and go seek. What would a 7-year-old know about God and the angels?
Yeah.
And she was just very, very like I'm ready to get out of here. I'm hungry. I got to go to the bathroom. It was like next. And a little while later, we hear, cars screaming and screeching and tires screeching. And it was the police and the FBI and Alan and lawyers and newspaper people and TV people. They pop open the trunk expecting us to be dead because it's been 5 hours, which I didn't know at the time. They opened the trunk, and just as I turn around to show Alan the opening in the back of the trunk, the baseball size opening, I'm fingering the trunk to see where the heck it is. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there for me to show him how we survived.
Wow. Wow. Man, Susie, I've got so many questions. First of all, what happened from there? I mean, did they ever catch the people? Was Alan ever harmed when he went to the bank? Did they get the money they wanted? Were the people ever punished? Wow.
So yes, Alan, unfortunately, was driving with the mastermind who had a gun with him and took him up and said, fill the suitcase. And all the while he was told, do not speak to the police, do not call the FBI, do not call anyone. And as soon as we get our money, you come out of the bank and you get the money and we get the money, we will call you and let you know where your family is. So true to their word, they did that after Alan filled the suitcase of $250,000. So unfortunately, they did this cross country, and a bunch of people did not survive because it was very easy cookie cutter kind of a heist, if you will. But unfortunately, not everyone had a near-death experience or survived the trunk.
Wow.
So now they were wanted in California, not just for bank robbery, but also for murder. And they were caught.
Wow. I can't imagine, how you ever put that in the back of your mind. And I guess that's what started you on your road to the spirituality and the Reiki and the meditation and the healing that you do, correct?
Well, I wish it would have been that easy, but in fact, what happened to me was I went into a tailspin of 2 years of post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, fear, you name it. So, as I mentioned, we had just been married 90 days, so Alan had moved into my home, and I never went back to my home. So I never went back to my job, never went back to my home, and we lived in a hotel until Alan was able to find a home that had a high enough fence, and then I ended up living with Wackenhut guards for 2 years outside my house. I lived in total darkness and depression. I was in deep, desperate post-traumatic stress. Even though I had enjoyed the beauty of the other side, that's not what was happening in my outer life. My inner life knew, what I had experienced, but my outer life was dealing with all of the fear and the anxiety and the depression and the darkness and the pain. And I had physical, mental, emotional, and unfortunately, you couldn't see it from the outside. So everybody thought, no, Susie's fine, when in fact, nobody really knew how to help me. And I didn't know how to help myself. So it took
what happened?
It took years, and then I ended up finding this wonderful therapist that was a pastoral counselor and hypnotherapist, which is why I went that route. Without her teaching me how to meditate, teaching me and doing hypnosis on me, and healing me from many different spiritual and physical and mental directions, I know that I probably would have been in an insane asylum, because it was just uncontrollable what goes on in your mind when you're in that state.
But it also, it could have traumatized your marriage as well, because you were
Absolutely.
you were a
Absolutely.
newlywed, and the trauma of going through that, and then not being able to go back home and living in a hotel. How did your marriage survive?
The changes that kept going And don't forget, we had 5 kids between us, so there was a lot going on. And our kids were teenagers at the time, and Lauren was the youngest; she was 7. And so, it was not easy. I'm not sure how Alan managed it all. I was in bed 90% of the time for a year and a half, and unable to function, unable to let anybody in my home. It was really a very sad time, a very hard time. But as I say in the book, Alan never left me. Alan was there to support me in every way he could and to find a way to help me heal. As you know, he's an extraordinary man.
Yeah, I was going to say, people who don't know him would really have a tough time. I mean, I'm just tearing up listening to this, because the two of you have done so much for not only Nova Southeastern University, but Broward County. And to know what you've been through, and to know how he was beside you, is absolutely fantastic. I mean, just amazing, just amazing. So this book that you've written, when is it going to be released?
Well, the book was released November the 19th, so it's out. And we've had some wonderful Facebook posts and wonderful Amazon posts. We're already at 5 stars with people doing reviews, and been very fortunate that people are picking it up and connecting with the messages of forgiveness and meditation. And
wow,
understanding.
And then you've also chosen some nonprofits who are going to be the recipients of the profits from the book. So
That's correct.
Why did you choose these particular nonprofits? What are they?
Well, these nonprofits are nonprofits that I've given money to for a very long time. But what I decided was that for the first 90 days, they would receive 100% of the gross book sales. And they are the United Way and Hispanic Unity, Nova Southeastern University, Junior Achievement, the Broward Public Library Foundation, Girl Scouts, Habitat for Humanity, and Women of Color. And these are all amazing nonprofits. And then after the first 90 days of the gross book sales, then we're going to continue giving net book sales to other nonprofits in the market, because I'm very fortunate that I don't need any income from the book. My book was really about giving back to the community in whatever form, telling the story, and hopefully others get to receive the messages that they're supposed to receive as they read the book.
Well, it's interesting. Two of the nonprofits that you mentioned in Miami-Dade County, I run the mastermind group for the not-for-profits for the Commonwealth Institute. I'm the facilitator, and I have Habitat for Humanity in there, and I have the Girl Scouts in there, and I know the job they do, and they're certainly worthwhile, as well of all the other ones that you have chosen. We have about 2 minutes before we take our break, and I guess I would like to figure out how you did get to forgiveness. I know we can't do that in 2 minutes, so I'm not going to do that now. We'll do that when we come back.
Okay.
But I think it's amazing, all of this. And I want to ask you the question how you and Alan met, because knowing the both of you and knowing the kind of man he is. And boy, I'll tell you something. I know that we're talking to Susie, and I know this is for women 50 plus, but I have to tell you, you gals out there, you would all wish for a hubby like Alan. He is just a superhuman being who, when he gets something in his mind, he is going to do it. Nothing's going to sway him from it.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah,
I'm very lucky that he's my soulmate and meant to be, and I just believe that there are no accidents, that we were meant to be together to go through this process.
And I think it's also interesting how this experience, it's almost like you were being channeled out of your body and then back into it during this as well. And something for someone, because like me, you were very business oriented, very,
Yeah.
I consider
Left brain.
myself right brain, not left brain, but I am, very focused on what I want and how to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
hang on there, folks. We're going to come back with part 2 with Susie in just a moment, but let's take a break right now. Hi, this is Dr. Gayle, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.